We have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat. Period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck.
Hey guys, what's up? Somebody give me a 5 for 5 in there and we'll get popping here. It's going to be me tonight, guys. Tommy has some stuff he had to go take care of, and yeah, so he's not going to be here. You got me tonight, guys. Hopefully that's okay. But how are you guys? We'll say hello to everybody that's here already. DJ Daddy-O, what's up? Miss V, Mark, what's up? Seventh Son, Charlie, Leisure, Stacy, Allen. What's going on, Allen? How you guys doing? Who'd I miss? DJ Daddy-O's already in. Charlie. Let's say hi to everybody else real quick. Trying to find y'all. Miss V. How could I forget Miss V? What the heck? You know, what the heck? But, yeah, guys. So, yeah. I know we've actually touched on this subject before. We didn't really go this specific with it, but we're going to be talking about how can we tell if our kids or somebody we love is in drug or alcohol withdrawal. We need to know what those signs are so we can, if they're trying to hide it from us or they don't want to, obviously they don't want you to know. We need to make sure that that we can see that. And we can't help them unless we can see it, right? I mean, does that make sense? But yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And I know it's not like some cutting edge type of live stream, but this is an important thing that we need to be paying attention to, because outside of ourselves, who do we want to keep safe? Who do we want to help the most? Well, the people right here where you're at. Hi, Virginia. How you doing? But yeah, this is Hey Leisure. What's up? And sorry if I squirrel a little bit tonight. My setup is kind of a little wonky. I'm just trying to get this all set up for you guys and everything. So if I squirrel a little bit, and I do have some graphics tonight that's going to help me, kind of stay focused a little bit, I guess, if we want to go down that road. But I really do think it's important to understand what the physical symptoms of withdrawal actually are, and to recognize that they are different from, drug to drug, because they are. Now, they're going to have some similarities, but they're not going to be exactly the same. And I think we need to, recognize that and adjust where we need to adjust. So, yeah, so I think that's a good subject for us to start with tonight. And, hopefully you guys get something out of this, especially parents. I think that this could help a lot of parents. You know what I mean? Because that's really kind of where, we all want to help our kids the most. And we would, for me, I know that I would feel like I failed if I didn't recognize it and something happened. And this is, you know, it's kind of what I'm talking about here, guys. You know, it's a hard thing too. Now, when we're talking about our kids, we really have to go at it with what? Kid gloves, right? Yeah. When we're talking about our kids, we definitely have to pay more attention. They're not going to tell us, guys. We're going to have to recognize it, and then we're going to have to get ourselves to a point where we can open the line of communication. Because like we talk about a lot, guys, it's communication, right? So yeah. And if it's somebody that you love, just kind of like family member type of stuff, that it's a little different, right? Because you can attack that a little bit different. You don't have to be so cautious, I guess, or blunt. You can be a little bit more blunt with people that are not your kids. Because if you go straight at your kids with some sort of blunt conversation with this, I guarantee you're not going to get a good response. They're just going to rebel. They're going to lie to you, and they're going to keep lying. That's just what it's going to be. So hopefully, you know, you guys can get something out of that, because I really truly do believe that, you know, when we're speaking to our kids, we have to keep that in mind, that we were once that age, and we were once trying to figure everything out. And we have to understand that, you know, they don't have it all figured out yet. Neither do we, but we're a little bit further along in the process, right? And, you know, that's kind of where we're at with this. So, we're going to start, I guess we can start with opiates, because, you know, we talk about that a lot here. Let me just switch over to that graphic there. Let me know if that's okay for you guys. If you guys can't see that, maybe I can try to adjust a little bit or whatever. But yeah, my mouth is getting dry already. And again, guys, if I squirrel a little bit tonight, I do apologize. I do this to keep me focused anyway. But yeah, really wasn't a whole, you know, I had a few hours to prepare, but even at that, my mind just, you know, racing a little bit tonight, guys, so I apologize. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started with this. And so physical withdrawals, this is opiates. You know, and it just says it right there. The withdrawal process can be grueling for many drugs depending on the level of addiction. You know, basically what they're saying is how long they've been on the drug, and how fast they went from 0 to 100, right? And yeah, the faster you go from 0 to 100, usually it's a little bit harder at the beginning to try to get help. And you're going to start, you know, you start seeing these kinds of things, because what will happen is they'll go to a certain level and then they'll run out of their drug, right? Then they don't have no way to get it, especially kids. So you're going to see these physical signs start to show up. And it's going to be pretty, you know, at first you're probably going to think your kid's sick. You may even take him to the doctor. But this is really what's going on. And I would say this too, as a parent, or even somebody that you love, you're trying to help somebody that you love, don't feel bad if you didn't recognize this at first. People get real good at hiding these things, okay? So I know I did. I look back on my teenage life, and I could probably get away with just about anything. I was getting in bars when I was 15. So, you know, and it does, physical appearance had something to do with that, and knowing certain people or whatever. But my parents never knew that until I was grown and told them. So us as kids, especially, we don't want people to know that we're doing these kinds of things. It can be hidden. So don't feel any kind of guilt. That's kind of what I'm saying here. Hey, Full of Hope, what's going on? Leisure, what's up, my brother? All right, so, you know, in opioids, we know opioids. Most of us know what opioids are here, but I'll go over, you know, you got Vicodin, you got hydrocodone. Obviously, you can talk about heroin. Fentanyl is a big thing right now. And it's actually transitioning into the nitazene stuff is starting to show up. And, I'm going to talk about that nitazene thing for a minute. And the reason why is because you know how they discovered that was actually happening? It ain't because they found the drug. It showed up in overdose deaths autopsies. That's where it started showing up. So, I mean, that kind of, it kind of hits you across the face, right? I mean, wow. You would have thought that we'd have been seeing it in, like, I don't know, you get pulled over or whatever and somebody gets busted for possession or something like that. You would think you would start seeing it there. But I think what happened in that instance is that nobody was even aware this thing even existed. It's such an older analog drug that was brought back to present because of its potency and the financial end of it. It's a lot cheaper, right? So it started showing up in the autopsy reports where people were passing away from overdosing, and that's how they found discovered that they were using that again, or using it to start with, because again, most people didn't know that. So what I'm saying is that you start seeing these withdrawal symptoms in people that you love, you can stop that overdose thing from happening, because what's going to happen is they're going to, when they can finally get their drug, right, and they will eventually, they're going to go out there and they're going to get the biggest dose that they absolutely can, and they're going to push the envelope as far as they can. And because they hadn't had their drug for whatever amount of time, their tolerance has now lowered. They can't handle as much. So that's kind of what happens. And that's why it's key to understand physical withdrawals, because that's a very dangerous thing for people to be in, and without somebody that they know recognizing that it's going on, so they can help, sit with them, do whatever they got to do. And I suggest this to people. My dad did this for me. He came over to my house and sat with me every day until I was good. Okay? And, I really would highly suggest you guys do not let somebody that is going through either withdrawals, if they're trying to get clean or sober, don't let them be by themselves. Yeah, they can be in the room by themselves or something like that, but make sure somebody is, basically they're going to have to be babysat. I mean, I hate to put it in those words, but that's really what it is. And at first, the person that's being babysat might not be too receptive to that, but you need to insist on that, because it can mean, life or death. It really can. Because if you're over here and you're in complete withdrawal and you're shaking and all this, and listen, the opiate withdrawals that we're talking about right here, let me read them first so I don't squirrel off too much. And notice that these symptoms are very common things for a lot of other things. So you got muscle aches, runny nose. See that runny nose one? Believe it or not, guys, that is a big one to see. Okay? It's a huge sign. If your loved one does not typically like sniff, doing this number or whatever, because some people have that naturally, right? But if somebody didn't have that to begin with, and then all of a sudden you start seeing all this stuff, well, you might want to just pay more attention. And then obviously you got sweating. And here's another big one that people need to really concentrate on. Yawning is one of the first things that will happen when you're in withdrawal. Sorry guys, my mouth is really dry tonight. Hey T Prada, what's going on, bud? What is happening? Stacy, if I didn't say hi to you, yeah, okay. Anyway, so yeah, yawning is definitely, and I'm not talking about 1 or 2 yawns when you first wake up. I'm talking you look over at somebody and they're yawning all day long, right? And they can't stop. But no, even though yawning's like contagious, nobody else around them's yawning. And you see what I'm getting at here? This is definitely a big one. If you start seeing somebody do that, pay attention, right? It says increased tearing. In other words, your eyes are watering. Abdominal cramping. And this is getting into like, you know, I don't want to say the latter stages of withdrawal, because it's really present through most of the time. Even diarrhea, nausea, and vomiting. All those. But those are the more severe withdrawal symptoms. Physical. Okay, I'm not talking about emotional stuff here, guys. Okay? So if you can equip yourself with knowing some of the physical withdrawal symptoms and apply it along with the emotional, okay? If you can do that in the mental stuff too, all three of those, if you can actually bring those all three together, you're going to become really good at understanding what's going on, and you're going to be able to help whoever you're trying to help. And it might be your own kid. Okay? And that's the other thing I want to say here. You know, don't ever think that your kid won't do it. You know, we all have people we think there is no way that that person would ever do any kind of drugs. Right? Well, guys, you're looking at one of them. And I shared my story before. I didn't even smoke weed in high school. I might have tried it once or twice, right? I just had no desire for whatever reason when I was that young. So what I'm saying is, don't think that it can't happen to your family or your kids. All right? And if you think something is going on, don't lose your courage. Say something. Ask. It's you know, you have to draw a line at some level between a friend and a parent. We're not here to be their best friend. That might be a side product of all of it. At the end of it, you can have really, really good relationships with your kids. But our job, until they get to be adults and even after, is to be a parent. And part of being a parent is taking the time to understand what I'm talking about right here. And I know I'm kind of focusing on kids, because actually if you focus on somebody you love outside of your family that's an adult, again, you can be a little bit more blunt with those kinds of people. But your own kids and stuff, you really have to come at it at the correct angle. And only you are going to know that angle. I can't tell you what that angle is. All right? So try your best to have an open conversation with your kids before this stuff starts happening. And maybe when if it does actually happen to you, I'm not saying it's going to, but if it does happen to you like this, then at least there's some communication going on already. You've already established that groundwork. So make sure you do that. Make sure your kids are able to come to you and talk. Don't make them feel like they're always going to be in trouble if they come and talk to you. Just don't do it. I mean, it doesn't do any good at all. Hey, Cemetery. You know, and let me give you an example of that too in my own personal experience here. My oldest son is 26. It was 4 or 5 months ago. He calls me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? I get a phone call. Obviously, I'm like freaking out when I pick up the phone. So usually when you get a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning, ain't nothing good coming on from the other end, right? So I pick it up, and when I picked up the phone, I seen his number on the caller ID. So immediately my heart started racing. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what's going on? So I picked the phone up, and he's like, hey, Dad, can you come get me? Okay, where you at? He told me, right? Guess what, guys? That was the end of the conversation. You want to know why? Because I didn't need to know. I already knew why, but I wasn't going to make him say it. Right? Because I want him to feel comfortable in coming to me even after he's an adult. And he has multiple times when he went out with his friends and went a little too far. When he recognizes he went a little too far, who's the first person he calls now to come get him? You're looking at him. Now, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but that's some pretty decent stuff, guys. If you can get yourself to that kind of relationship, and again, only you're going to be able to know how to get your child to that point. But I can tell you that if you're going to come at them all hard and in their face, you're not getting nowhere. That's going to be a done game, man. You are done. You're over conversation. They're never going to call you. They're just not. It's all going to be done. Yeah. So my point is that I would rather him do that than not, and get in the car and try to drive home when he's in a state that he shouldn't be. Right? That's the point. And we've been saying this a lot lately, that you can't fix a problem if they're not here to fix. So the problem isn't, the fact that he got intoxicated. Okay? The real problem, because if it's not like an issue for him, right? Because it's not. He's not an alcoholic, and I'm not going to go down that road right now. But pick your battles is what I'm saying. And make sure when you pick your battles, you're able to assert yourself in a way that they can, at least, in other words, give them a road back. Okay? Don't be so abrasive and so hateful and so judgmental and so, I'm your mom, I'm your dad, you're going to do what I say, all this stuff, right? Well, all that stuff I just said actually goes without being said. If you assert yourself throughout all of that, none of that even has to be said. It's assumed, right? Because you have a found respect between each other. Respect your kids. As much as we want them to respect us, we have to do the same. I made big mistakes when I was doing that. I did. If you want them to treat you like a person, then treat them like a person too. Understand that they're going through things that you're not. There's generation gaps here. They grab a hold of certain things that we're just not going to understand unless we talk to them. And they're not going to talk to us if we're just coming at them all hard. And, now, if it gets down to a line to where people are really getting hurt, getting sick, and all that kind of stuff, obviously you're going to have a hard conversation, and maybe even more with your kids. But please try your best to keep that line of communication open. That is your best thing that you could possibly ever do. So yeah, I'm not trying to sit up here and preach or anything. It's not like that. But what I will say is that this has worked for me. And, and I do also understand that there's going to be kids out there. You might have one of them in your own house. You might. I don't know. That no matter what you do, they're still going to rebel, right? Even if you brought them up 100% correct. Okay? And you should never, and this is a lot easier said than done, feel guilty to the point where you're blaming yourself for what they're doing, right? Pointing the finger never does anything good. Who cares who's to blame? Why not just fix the problem? And guys, we're so programmed that when something pops up, we automatically want to figure out, well, who done that? I do it myself. I fight against it myself. Does it matter who done it? It's already happened. So let's just talk about it and not have it happen again. I mean, does that make sense? Am I the only one that thinks like that? I hope I'm not. Because there can be a lot of miserable people out there just pointing fingers at each other and never getting nowhere with it. So, again, I know I'm focusing on the kid aspect of this because I think this is where it kind of gets lost. So those are your opiate withdrawals. So if you start seeing these things, guys, start paying attention, start putting things in place where you're going to be able to get yourself to a conversation with this person. Again, whether it's somebody you love or if it's somebody that, if it's your kid. Just try to start building a foundation for a good conversation that is productive and respectful. But you can't disrespect somebody and expect them to talk to you. Okay? You just won't. And I'm not saying that we can't get out of our own self for a minute and lose our head for a second. We all do. But we have to have a way back. You know what I mean? And there's a place and time for hard love. I promise you that. There is. But the hard love doesn't come from screaming and yelling. You know where the hard love comes from? It comes from following through with what you said. That's the hard love. Right? And so don't say something you're not willing to follow through with. I made that mistake myself a couple times. Well, probably more than a couple times. But one thing I wouldn't do was, like, you know, when my kid was like, I think he was 18 at the time, my oldest child, Jacob, he was wanting to get out of the house really, really quick. We weren't getting along very well, right? There was some stuff there, was some tension going on there. But I refused to kick him out of the house, no matter what he did, right? Because I knew that if I did, I would have been over wherever he was at in like 5 minutes telling him to come back. Because if I was to do that, and this is just my own, what I went through, I would have been completely miserable wondering what was going on. Because if you take that step to boot somebody like that, you have to be willing to follow through with it. And most likely, they're not going to come back for a while. They're going to be mad. Right? So what are you left to do if they're your kids? You're left to sit on the couch wondering if they're okay. Does that help anybody? Not really. And there are situations, like I said, guys, where you have no choice but to ask somebody to leave. But to do it in a big blow-up fight and stuff, it's the wrong thing to do. I made that mistake. I told him to leave once, and within 5 minutes, I had to go back and get him. Right? I just couldn't do it. And I know it. Maybe I'm a wuss. I don't know. I don't really know the right answer there, guys. And again, I think that's an individual thing. And I hope you guys understand that, because it definitely is. It's a hard thing, and it is individualized to each relationship. And it all good. I was talking about kicking somebody out of the house, but this could be a drug-related thing or alcohol-related thing. So it's all about relationship building and just trying to, keep that line of communication open, so you can, when you start seeing these signs, you can address it. And they're going to at least listen to you. You know what I mean? They might not take it in at first. They probably won't. Okay? Especially if they're in withdrawal and they want to go get high, or if they want to go get drunk, or whatever they're doing. That's what they're going to want to go do. You're not going to stop that drive in them. But what you got to do is you have to try to tell them what's going to happen after that. And none of it's good. So, anyway. Alcohol withdrawal. It's a little different. Hey, Chris Mack. Let's see here. I just went through the worst withdrawal for a month of Suboxone. It was so awful. Yeah, guys, I mean, again, that subject, that is a huge subject, Chris. That is one of those that it's like, wow. And again, let me say this. Everybody's recovery and stuff is just so, it's individualized. Okay, sorry, Seventh, what did you say there, bud? Mark Tracy has a question on help for son. Where you at? Okay, I'll go back up and read it here real quick. I'm sorry, guys. Let's see here. I see that second comment, but I think it started up earlier, didn't it? Trying to find it. Let's see if I can't find this. Okay, I'll go back down here to that one then. It says, we had him all last week. I slept with him, fed him everything. Then he wanted to go home, and now been on alcohol for a week. That's a hard one. It really is. Tracy, that's a hard one, Tracy. I am, I don't know if I have an answer for you, to be honest with you. I think all of that is an individual thing. Yeah. Or I guess, like I said a little while ago, make sure you keep that line of communication open if you can at this point. You know, and that's what I would say. I don't think that that's really what you have to do. And, you know, and again, I don't know your whole situation. It might be better if you emailed Tommy or me and we could kind of talk to you in the background a little bit. I don't know. I don't want you to have to spill everything here. You know, unless you wanted to talk about it, you can. I'm not telling you can't talk about it in the chat. And there's a lot of people here that can give you a lot of good advice. 24. Yeah. That's a hard one, Tracy. It really is. That is definitely something that, man, I wish, again, guys, I wish there was just a blanket answer for those kinds of questions. And unfortunately, there's not. But one thing I can say is that you can't help them if you can't talk to them. You know, even if, and this is my life experience, so pay attention to the disclaimer at the beginning of this video. I'm not a doctor. I'm not any kind of health professional whatsoever. We always say, please, you know, go that route if you need to. If that's really, you know, if it's getting to that level, maybe you need to get some professional people involved, right? But for me, the communication thing is where it's at, and you might, like in myself, you might have to swallow some crow that you don't really deserve to swallow. Okay? In other words, you might have to say, okay, I'm going to let what you said there go, even though I'm right in this situation, just so we can move forward with the conversation and let it go. And I'm not pretending to know your situation there. Any sources to recommend? Yes, Seventh. Guys, there is there in the bottom left of the screen there is a suicide helpline, and then you got the abuse line too that flashes up there. That is probably your best bet, because that's a national line. Okay, those numbers are in the ticker here too, I believe. Maybe, I can't remember. But you can call the SAMHSA. That's a national number. They will help you with drug and alcohol abuse, any kind of abuse like that. They will give you some sort of they'll point you in at least the direction where you're at regionally, to where you can get some professional help. But what I would say is don't wait, right? The longer you wait, the more things that can happen, the more bad stuff that can happen. And again, I'm not, you know, that's a hard thing, Tracy. I don't want to give you like a specific answer on that, because I hate to say it, but all the answers are going to be different for each individual person. But I would suggest you reach out to SAMHSA, that number there. And again, we got a lot of people here that can talk to you, and just give you, you know, life advice if you need to just vent and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes that helps clear your mind. Okay, everybody here is willing to talk to you, I promise you. My email and Tommy's email's down in the description. We got a Facebook group there too. You guys can go over there. That's where most of the crew talk. I haven't been over there for a long time because me and Tommy don't go over there, so there's reasons why we don't. So we don't want to, you know, we want to give you guys that so you can talk without us being there, right? Because, you know, we don't care if you disagree with us. Honestly, I mean, you can. And that's awesome. So we want to make sure that you have a place to where me and Tommy aren't your only option, is what I'm trying to say. Because there are people here that have been through way more than what I have in certain situations. And then I've been through way more in other situations, right? So what you're doing is you're opening up a can that has a whole bunch of advice in it. It's kind of what I'm saying, guys. So just, yeah, that's really what I'm going at with that. Hey, Michelle. Yeah, you need to check on him, okay, guys? That's one thing I will say. It's not going to hurt, right? I mean, just make sure he's, you know, like I said, I don't know the whole situation, and I don't expect you to, you know, spill it here in the chat. It's not what we're here to do. I mean, if you want to talk about it with people here, you can, like I said, but I don't want to like put any kind of ask you any specific question. But please, yes, check on him. I mean, a simple phone call, drive by his house. You know, even if you just got to say, hey, are you okay? And then leave. Just make sure he's okay. That's what I would do. But, yeah. Okay, what you got here? Hey, Virginia. Hey, Connor. Well, I'm glad you're here, Connor. Says your buddy just passed away from alcoholism. Yeah, it sucks. 35 years young. Oh my God. Yeah. I hope, you know, and that sounds, hey Major, what's up? It sounds like you're doing the right thing there, right? I mean, you're taking an extremely bad situation and you're learning from it, right? And you know, there's not a whole lot of people your age that are able to do that. I hate to say it like that, but it's true. And there are some out there that do. We got quite a few of them here. But what I would say is, you know, just plug along there, man. And you know, if you think you need help, again, please reach out. You know, like I said, if you don't know where to go, if you don't want any of that stuff, if, you know, you can email us. We will help you find somebody. We're not necessarily the help, right? We can just share our life advice. That's all we have, our experiences. But we can definitely point you in a direction to where you can get professional help if needed. And that might be where you're at. I don't know. But, I mean, that's just what I would say. And I think most people here would agree. And again, like I said, guys, this is just my opinion. Take all of it with a grain of salt. And I'm dead serious about that. You know, please do your thing the way you think you need to. Each individual situation is different. And only you are going to know your kids the way that your kids need to be known, right? And there's a reason for that. And that's why, you know, I'm not trying to give parenting advice, but, you know, at the end of the day, you have to have communication. Without that, you can't help people. You really can't. Like Tommy talked about yesterday with the prison thing. I mean, does that fix anything? You know, and I'm not going to go into that subject right now because he covered it really well last night. But, hey, Swiss, what's up? But, yeah, it's... You know, I really wish I had a better answer. But I guess that's really all I can give you. I mean, and just know that we're here, right? And like I said, sometimes just venting helps. And it helps you clear your mind and all that stuff. Hey, Cultivate. How you doing? I didn't say hi to you yet. You were in here earlier. I should have said hi to you. Full hope if I didn't say hi. Hi. Virginia, what's up? Okay, so alcohol, guys. Now, alcohol and benzos, which are Xanax, Ativan. Okay, that stuff there on the right is basically it's alcohol in a pill. With a few more things going on there. I mean, you're going to have a lot of similar withdrawal symptoms here, right? You got sweating, headache, loss of appetite, nausea, vomiting, all the stuff that most of us know these, right? But what I have to say is, guys, everything that you're looking at there, that's flu symptoms too. This is why it's important to understand that not only are they going to have physical symptoms, you're going to start seeing their emotionals creep in there, and the mental part of it's going to creep in there. So you got to be able to recognize all three and bring it all in together. And that's why I'm kind of focusing on the physical part here, because we really haven't did that a whole lot. You know, we're more talking about what's going on in our head and how we need to be doing things and fix it at a mental level. Because to fix these physical problems, guess how you got to fix it? You got to go through the mental part. You have to. That's really the only way it works. I'm showing you guys these physical ones just so you recognize that somebody that you love has an issue. It helps you recognize that. And yeah, so I mean, so in order to fix these symptoms, obviously the fix for it is to get off of this stuff. But the overall long term has to be fixed with the emotional and the mental aspect of it. Okay? That's why we say you can start relapsing well before you actually take your substance, right? In your head, you're relapsing already a lot of the time, most of the time, unless it's a trigger. Sometimes the trigger can throw you into relapse real quick, okay? But most of us, if anybody's ever been through a relapse or anything like that, it's going to start in your head first. You're going to find yourself thinking about this, romanticizing about that, and that's what happens. But all of it is an effort to fix all this. It really is. And then, you get your mind wrapped around it, and you're able to push forward with all of it. And that's really the cycle there is what I'm talking about, because it's a cycle. And again, everybody's cycle is a little different. You're going to have speed bumps, you're going to have off ramps and on ramps, and you're going to have to pivot. But the one thing I know that you have to be is present. Okay? You have to be present. What I'm saying there is you have to be there and have to be communicating. That's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, so if you see these guys, most of us know, because alcohol is legal. We all know what this is. It's basically all a bunch of hangover stuff, really, honestly, if you look at it. That's really what it looks like, right? But you can get skin rashes, flushing. That's a really big one, guys. If you see your kids and stuff, their face is constantly red. That is a huge one for alcoholism and benzos. Okay? So understand that. It's a big one. If you start seeing that, believe it or not, guys, you can actually smell it. Even when they're not drinking. It starts coming through their pores. They start smelling like it. Especially if they've drank, if they're at a level to where they're drinking 2 or 3 fifths a day or something. It does. It really does. It starts coming out. If you notice that, they have to, when they first get up in the morning, they have to have something right there so they don't go into start shaking and stuff to stop the tremors right here. Rapid heartbeat, all this stuff. But one thing I want to say about the alcohol withdrawal. One thing that's not on here that should be is death. Okay? You can die from this. And I hate the fact that that's not on here. And I pulled this image from the internet, okay? I didn't make this up. This is something I found on the internet. And almost all of them say this, right? But death needs to be there. Because you can die from this. Alcohol withdrawal, benzodiazepines, Xanaxes, Ativan, Klonopin, stuff like that. You can die from the withdrawal of that. That's why you have to get professional help. Call these numbers down here, guys. SAMHSA. They will find you a place. They will point you in the right direction. They will give you phone numbers. And I know we say that a lot, but that's a national thing. Even global. I think they even reach outside the United States a little bit. So, or if they don't, they will give you the number to an international facility that can help you. So it's a really great resource. But understand that I really truly, and I think Tommy would agree, that death needs to be on here. Matter of fact, this should probably be in red right in the middle. Because when I was in in-house rehab, where I went for 5 days when I first got sober, and my drug of choice was opiates, right? But we would have one big group a day where they brought the men and women together in one big group. There's like 40 of us. And some of you guys have already heard me tell this story, but we're sitting there and, we seen some lady came in. She was in a wheelchair. She wasn't allowed to get out of her wheelchair. And she was withdrawing off of benzos. Xanaxes, the stuff over here on the right. So, we had group a couple days, and the third day she comes rolling in there and they put you up against the wall, right? There's like 40 of you all up against the wall, and whoever's running the group is kind of in the middle. But about 5 minutes into the group, we heard all this ruckus, and you turn over and you look, and the woman that was in the wheelchair is no longer in the wheelchair. She's on the floor having one of the most violent seizures I have ever seen in my life. Okay? That woman died. So, if that can happen in a medical rehab facility, what do you think is going to happen if you're at home? You see what I'm getting at? Hopefully I'm driving that home as hard as I can right there. People need to get that. They have to get that. That is a huge thing that you need to understand. It's not about just trying to push through sometimes, guys. Yeah, we all have to push through sometimes, but we got to know when to do it. It's like a running back in football. Your lineman's got to make the hole so you can run through it, right? Same thing. We got to make that hole. We got to make sure it's safe for our running back to go through there. I mean, that's really what it is. And unfortunately, you know, I don't know that this woman, she probably was so far into her addiction. Maybe she refused to take the medications and stuff that would help her. I don't know. I don't know her situation. All I know is she was on benzos and she died right in front of all of us. So that's, you know, that really should open some people's eyes. It really should. And you know, seizures are no joke. They just are not no joke. And this is one substance or group of substances here that definitely needs to be professionally handled. Okay? Doctor. I'm going to tell you right now, doctor. You're not going to hear nothing else come out of my mouth, but go to the doctor. Go see somebody, because that's what you need to do. And, you know, we can talk to you and help you with the mental aspect of it, but the doctor is the one that's going to get you better when it comes to this. It's going to keep you alive long enough to get that mind fixed. Okay? I know I feel a little passionate about this, guys, but, you know, I lost my uncle to this. And, you know, it was pretty traumatic for me, you know. And I'm not going to go into details about what happened other than to say this. He had his esophagus banded 3 times. Doctors kept telling him, you keep drinking, you're going to die. You're going to die. And sure enough, it wasn't 6 months later. His esophagus actually exploded. And he was in my grandpa's house. That's where he lived. And I have a lot of guilt on that myself, because it was right before or just when I had just started taking opiates for my back and stuff. And I was extremely judgmental of him. I regret that. I really do. I mean, I think about it often. You know, I should not have treated him like that. He was my uncle. I loved the man. But that's something I got to live with now. I'm not going to get that back. I can't tell him. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, uncle. You know, I should have never said that or been that way with you, or standoffish and just like rude to him. Even to my mother, I would tell her, why you got him over here right now? Why are you letting him stay here? You know, I was asking those kinds of questions, and it's like, that was her baby brother, you know? And I look back on all that, and now that I've been through what I've been through, and if somebody had done that to me, where would I be? If my wife hadn't been the person she was, where would I be? What if she took that same position that I did with him? I wouldn't be right here. I'd be in a gutter somewhere, or dead. And that's the God's honest truth. And so don't let yourself into a position like that to where you're going to have to live with that the rest of your life, like me. Now, I've gotten myself to the point where I can, you know, I'm okay, right? I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not, because I am. It's just I do regret that. But one thing it taught me is I will never, ever do that to another person in my life. And I promise you that. I don't care how bad they are. I really don't. It's not my position to judge somebody. It's my position to be there when they're ready. Right? If you love somebody, that's what you're going to do. And like I said, guys, and what really hit it home for me is I had to go clean that mess up, because my grandparents couldn't afford to have somebody come in, and the insurance was just too much. I'm talking $4,000 or $5,000 to clean that mess up. And he didn't kill himself, but he knew he was dying when it happened. So he grabbed a piece of paper and wrote down, literally, not even kidding, guys, he wrote down everybody's name in his life that he loved, and my name was on there. And when I seen that, yeah, I'm gonna have to move on. I'm getting a little. Anyway, we found that letter underneath the treadmill in that room, because he was frailing around because he bled to death, and it was hard. Losing your uncle like that's hard enough, and cleaning the mess up's hard enough. But what's been harder for me is living with that. It really is. That's harder than having to see all that gore, having to, have lost him. The guilt is what gets me, and I don't know that'll ever go away. But one thing I will do, I'm not going to waste the guilt. That's now a tool in my belt that I pull out when I want to start judging somebody. And I hope that you guys can do that. Don't go through what I went through. Learn from what I'm saying and from what everybody in here's saying, and move forward like that. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out, guys. And again, guys, like I said, judgment, you got to have that communication open. You start judging people, what happens? They stop communicating with you because they don't want to hear it. We say we want to be there for our loved ones and our family and our kids, but then we do something counterintuitive, which is the exact opposite of what we should be doing. We do things to kill that communication, right? And we don't even know we're doing it. And that's what I'm trying to say. That's why I try to, put it out there like this. I'm letting you guys see what happened with me, so hopefully you can relate that with your own situation. And maybe you don't have to go through what I went through. And I've been really good about learning from other people. I learned from my dad, some of the mistakes and stuff he made, and he was a good dad, really a great dad. My mom, same thing, right? But there are mistakes that we all make, right? And I prided myself on learning from other people's mistakes, because I learned, and I've shared that here a lot. But it's still, even all that, it didn't stop me from judging my uncle, right? And again, if I'd have known he was going to pass like he did, do you think I would have been judging him like that? No, I wouldn't have. But the fact is, I did. And I think about that, and maybe if I hadn't, maybe he would have been able to talk to me. I'm not saying that he could have or would have, but I took one of those avenues that he could have been talking to somebody, and I killed it. I severed that, not him. So don't do that, right? I mean, and I know you're going to have to swallow crow sometimes. I get it. I really do. And there is a time for hard love, but do your best to keep that communication alive. That's what I would say. Okay, so we are going to go over this one real quick, and then we're going to end up, guys. Okay, we're about done here at the top of the hour. Yeah, Connor, you're going to see love, that's for sure. Yeah, Major, I agree. You got to do it for yourself. But this is what I would say to that. He says, it's hard work, don't give up. I'm sorry, but don't give up. Giving up, it's not worth it, all that, right? And he says, don't do it for anybody else. You have to do it for you when you want to do it. yeah, that's 100% true. But let me say this. This is what I would add to that. That doing it for somebody else because it makes them happy or helping them is actually still kind of doing it for yourself. Right? You want to, if you want to make your loved ones happy, you're doing that for yourself. You want to make them happy. You want them to be proud of you. So that in itself, and I know that might be semantics to some people, but it's actually not. It's something that we have to recognize up here. Okay? Doing it for other people sometimes is doing it for yourself. But what Major said there is 100% right. You have to want to do it for yourself too. Okay? I mean, at some point, you have to get yourself to that or you're never going to get anywhere. But anyway, so this is the stimulants like meth, cocaine, speed. Notice that there aren't as many. And let me tell you this too, guys. There isn't too many medical avenues to go down to help you with the physical withdrawals of this stuff. Okay, there are some things, but there's not as much for the other ones. Right? Because I'm not saying that it's any worse or any less, but because I'm not going to even go and speak to it because I've never had these drugs. I never was addicted to these. I know Alan was. I'm not sure if Alan's still in here or not. But yeah. Yeah, Major, it's hard work. 100%. It's hard work. Yeah, it's hard work, guys. Don't let anybody going into recovery think it's ever going to be like a cakewalk. Okay? Don't make it seem like it's going to be like unachievable, but don't let them think it's a cakewalk either. Okay? Major's on it tonight, man. Yeah, like I said, Major, I mean, I know I'm kind of splitting hairs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Alan, thanks for being here, man. Yeah, he's been through, he was alcoholic and you were doing meth, right, Alan, during your interview? Ain't that what you said? Just curious. That's the only reason I'm just bringing it up because I seen you in here earlier. Appreciate you, man. But yeah, so you got muscle aches, increased sleeping and appetite, general discomfort, slowing of activity, powerful cravings. Okay, that's probably a big one right there. The cravings is probably really bad with this. Overall tiredness. I think I remember you saying that, Alan. I really do. But yeah, for sure. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was right there. But so yeah, I mean, and again, Alan, you might be able to back me up on this, Alan, that there's not a whole lot you can do about these, than just try to make it past it, and maybe try to. I don't know if you could. I don't even know. I don't want to speak to it because I don't know, guys. I've never been through that. Yeah, for sure, Major. Coach. That's a hard one. Yeah, I appreciate you guys leaving comments in there. Major, you're killing it. So is everybody else. I mean, you guys are awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. And thanks for stepping up, guys. And, like you guys always do. Amphetamine sulfate. Yep. 76. Did I miss something? Sorry. If I missed something there, I do apologize. Again, I haven't been paying attention to the chat because I wanted to stay focused. But it is at the top of the hour, guys. Yeah. So, again, guys, I 100% think that everybody's situation has to be handled the way that they need to handle it. Okay? And I know that sounds like maybe a cop-out at some level. It's not. It's true. That's what it is. And again, I hate to say it like all that, but that's honestly where it's at, guys. And oh crap! Hold on a second, guys. Sorry. There it is. Sorry about that. I thought I was on a screen that I wasn't. Trying to run the show and do the show at the same time is a little bit challenging at times. Sorry about that. I know we're kind of over by about 2 or 3 minutes here, but again, thank you guys, all the crew in there, for stepping up. You guys are awesome. I really hope you guys share this. Please share it. You know, that's the best way we can help others. It's not about view count for us, guys. We don't obviously we look at it because it lets us know what we're talking about, how people are receiving it. But you know, the best way to do it to get other people help is to share the stuff out. You know, and let them know that this is about a love thing. It's not about anything other than, right? But yeah. Okay, let me I'm gonna turn that off. Sorry about this, guys. Let's see here, make sure that's all shut off. All right, let me go back over here to this one. So you guys got my big old face in there now, don't you? Okay, guys. I will try to say it like Tommy does every night. You know, you got one thing to do between now and tomorrow. Go out and try to save somebody. And thanks for all the support in here tonight, guys. For me and for everybody else. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. Hopefully I wasn't too far off squirreling too much. I feel like I did okay. I just want people to get help, right? I mean, honestly, that's really where I'm at. So, but anyway, guys, God bless. And you guys have yourself a good week. And I don't have a cat in a basket, but let's see here. What do I have? Oh, I got something. I got an R2-D2. Different colors. How about that? There we go. Oh, I got something else new too. I'll show it to you real quick. My kids went to Round 1, which is a gaming place, and they got me this. It's a pen, believe it or not. It's a Chewbacca pen. Oh, my daughter's bringing me this. Want to say hi? That's my beautiful daughter right there. Hi. Love you, babe. But check out this cup. It's a joystick. Isn't that awesome? Anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and pop off here. I do appreciate you. Go out and try to save somebody, and we'll be back to more of a normal thing tomorrow, I think. And thanks for sticking it out with number 2 here. All right. So, anyway, see you tomorrow. Love you guys.